Hey!
Hi.
How's it going, everybody?
Hi.
It is Thursday.
We've said that before.
Oh,
Yeah, this is what we look like on Thursdays.
totally
Isn't that
different.
weird? Welcome to Literally Wasted Thursday edition, because yesterday we had some weather and we were worried that it would thunder and the dogs would be screaming the whole time, or our power would go out, and just bad things. So we're here and it's better.
Yes.
Well, I know, but now it's over there. So I think everyone who lives over there is now getting it. So I hope that if you live over there, just like the Carolinas.
West. No, you're pointing towards California.
No, I'm not. If I'm
It's
looking at a
this
map
way.
of the United States,
You
it's
gotta,
right here.
you gotta.
I'm not. This is
Why
the
don't you
map,
say
and it's
hi to
right
everybody?
here.
All right, we're off
Anyways,
to a great start today.
I hope you're being safe and you're in a safe place or a basement or whatever. Okay. Hi. Giggles, Fitz, and Tammy, and Mike, and Matthew, and Kay. Oh, just letter K. Hi. And Liz, and Spare, and Jean. Oh, Jean's trying to steal my job. And Spare, and Lisa, and Trish, and Adam, and Kira, and Jean again. Hi. And Ashley, and Lisa, and Jeff, and Emily, Caitlin, Julie, Brenda, Will. Ooh, that's a cool name. Henry, Jim, Brittany, Liz, Rachel, Nicole. Oh, I skipped. Deirdre, Katie, Jennifer, Brandy, Matt, Cindy. Oh, I lost my place. Bethany. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Thanks for joining
everybody.
us. We got a good turnout for a Thursday night. Thank you all
Yeah,
for coming back. We appreciate that.
this is what y'all look like on Thursday, which is interesting. The Thursday people. Okay, so we're here to talk about the first half of Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo.
We sure
Up
are.
until book 4, part 4. No spoilers.
No
Past
spoilers. Past that point. It's the trick of falling.
Yeah.
Just trick to falling.
So Christy is going to let us know what we can talk about.
So,
Yes, please.
Kaz has been hired to break Bo-Yul-Bior out of the ice court. Bo-Yul-Bior. I can't.
Boyo Bayor. Boyo.
This dude has made a drug that makes Grisha ridiculously powerful, and it can easily change the rules of everything. So, we of course don't want that. So Kaz gets hired to break him out of the ice court and bring him back to the Kirch Merchants Council. Kaz accepts the job for an absorbent amount and assembles a team of very skilled people, and they head off while being attacked by their rivals. They travel on a ship and then start their trek in Fjerda. And the very, very last thing we read was Nina and Matthias make a deal to kill Bo-Yul-Bior and not let him get taken back.
Yes.
I'm just going to say, after hearing you say all their names out loud, I don't know who anyone is, because that's not how my brain pronounced it.
Do we need to just go over the names really quick? I have a list.
Nina is pretty easy to say.
Nina.
Pinta.
Kaz.
Wait, what?
Inej.
Yeah.
He's being a dork.
Inej.
Kaz. Inej. Is it? I thought it was Matthias.
Matthias.
Oh, that is. I thought it was Matthias, and I also pictured him like the herky-durky dude from Frozen that goes, woohoo.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And then Jesper and Wylan.
Yes.
Those are good.
Yes. Those are the 6 of crows.
Jasper? Yeah.
Jasper.
I thought you said Jasper, and I was like, that's stupid. It's an E. Okay. Sorry.
So we've got quite the cast of characters. We want to just say, like, what we think so far? I said so far twice.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
I know. I'm so embarrassed.
You should go first.
Oh, no. I might just repeat more words. Okay, so I'm actually a big fan of this book. At first, I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, okay, this is a heist book, and it's technically classified young adult. And it turns out, as someone who didn't read much, all young adult means is that it has young people in it.
Well, we're actually going to talk about that later.
Yeah, that's a later discussion. But I'm really I found it to be quite a page turner after getting into it. I think that it, they're setting up the heist really well, and they're actually setting up the characters really well. I mean, all of a sudden you're launching into backstory, and you get to know sort of how these people became who they are, and it's just kind of it's fun. I'm having fun, even though there's some really terrible stuff in this.
There is.
and that is also like pleasantly surprising to me. As they're going there. That guy just got his eyeball ripped out.
Yeah,
Like-
that was awesome.
Like this is a really fun book. And I'm saying that really high pitched. So that means I really liked it. I'm really having a good time. Christy.
You, how dare you?
I'm really liking this book too. So this is
You said that high pitched.
well, I mean, I had to follow you.
Yeah.
But no, this duology, this is the first book in a duology, and it's set in the same world as a trilogy. And the trilogy was written first. So I was a little bit concerned, even though the whole internet said that it was fine to read this without reading the trilogy. I was a little concerned that we would be a little lost or missing something, and I'm not feeling that. So I'm really liking this book, and I am excited to keep going. And I like most of the characters, and of course we'll talk about the characters later too, but I'm enjoying it.
Next.
Yeah. What do y'all think? What's the face tell you?
She's
Yeah,
waiting.
I
Did you make this fart?
No, I had
Yeah.
a brain. This is not the face that I would be making. No, that cleared something up for me because I was telling Lucas this. One of the things that kind of bugged me, literally, if I had to pick something that bugged me, is I felt like it immediately threw, and I was complaining, I was like, I feel like a lot of fantasy novels do this. Like you start right away and it's like, here's 1,000 names of 1,000 people and the names of everything in there, like all the different countries and all the different towns and their government and like all this stuff in the first chapter. And I was like, I don't know what any of these words mean. Like I wish you would just dole it out to me in bites so that I can figure things out. And I felt like it was just right away, like, this country and this government and these things and these people. And I was like, it's going to take me a second to absorb that before I keep reading. But you saying that there is a trilogy that precedes this, where you get all that backstory and you learn all these things. I totally get how like this absolutely stands on its own because I'm understanding everything, which is nice. But that like nullifies that conflict for me.
Yeah,
Me
I
feeling
agree.
like it was
I
just
didn't
all
know that.
kind of thrown at me, and that's me being really nitpicky, as I felt like it was thrown at me. But like, if this world already exists in another set of books that came first, then I don't really care about that anymore. Like, I can forgive that completely. Since I'm already running my mouth, I'll just go ahead and say, I was like, I like young adult books, but I've always been under the assumption of being like, okay, young adult books means that they're geared for a young adult audience. So I expected it to be heavy on the cheesy romance and not quite as dark and heavy and graphically violent as this one is. So that was a surprise, both on the romance front, because I will say that's always going to be there. And I've never read a young adult book that didn't have the romance element. But usually when I read it, I'm like, gross. It's like, oh, and their lips met, and it's like she was where she was born to be, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I think this is nice, so that doesn't bug me, and it is heavy and dark. I'm really enjoying it. Is it like a life-changing book for me? No, but it's really fun to the point where I stopped at the midway point for the discussion yesterday, and then we didn't have the discussion yesterday, and I honestly needed a distraction, and so I finished the book last night.
Tell ya.
I know, so I'm going to be really, really careful. I'm drinking water. It's not vodka. I'm being very careful, and I'm going to think before I talk, which usually I don't do. So, so yeah, there's my feelings, thoughts.
So I'll preface all of this with, I've been working on Take a Shot stories. I'm only going to plug it so much tonight, but I've been a little distracted. It took me, and I'm listening also, it took me 3 tries to finally get going.
And he whined like a baby.
I did. I was just like, I have so much.
Like, I don't want to read it.
I just have so much stuff in my brain right now going on that it was really hard to fit this in. Once I got going into it, I really liked it because I could tell that the first chapter, once I really started to just like focus and not be distracted with 20 other things going on while I was trying to listen, I was like, oh, that's a cool first chapter. Like it ends really well, and then I was pretty hooked. I won't go into my feelings on all the characters right now, but overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm still a little distracted. I'm not gonna lie, but
That's just you and
that's
your
just
brain
me
all the
anyway.
time.
But Matt commented on the maps. I am listening, so I didn't get that luxury, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I
looking
should
at
look
those
at that.
now. So yeah, some cool maps at the beginning. I know
There's
Christy,
an ebook too.
we had talked about this briefly, but I know you were listening and you kind of struggled getting into it. I didn't find that as much. I do prefer the male narrator a little bit over the female narrators, or at least I don't know. I can't tell the. Yeah, it's a multicast narration.
Yeah, there's like
so,
5 narrators, I think.
Wait.
For
yeah,
one
so
for
it-
each of the perspectives.
I was gonna say, if there's not 6, then that was a waste.
it gets a
We've
little.
only gotten 5 perspectives so far.
We
Yeah.
have not gotten Wyland's perspective.
Yeah, so far in the first half.
Yeah. So anyway, but yes, once I got into it, I am enjoying it, and I like the world that she's built. It's very much like I want to know: did Leigh Bardugo spend a lot of time in the Netherlands and like Eastern Europe and some Nordic country?
There's a question there.
Is there a question? Because it is very much like
It is.
it is very much the Netherlands.
It is very
in
much
a lot of this.
UK.
Anyway.
I love the little question thingy back here.
So yeah, overall, once I got into it, Ocean 6, yeah, Philip. I'm always down for a heist, and it's like, oh, cool, fantasy heist. Game on.
It's magical heist.
Well, to start, someone in the let's see.
She had many pages of
Yeah,
your-
y'all
of
did
discussion
awesome
topics.
with giving us lots of discussion topics. I
Don't lie, it's you.
Put it on. No, well, yeah. Sorry, I can't find who did it, but someone said that the very first paragraph or the very first chapter, like really, they didn't like it at all. Man, it's in here somewhere.
Oh man, I loved
Oh
it.
no,
About his mustache and the moon.
No, about
Juice?
Yes.
Anya
It was juice.
Yeah, no, that's
the
a-
and
mustache.
Juiced.
He's
It's a
like,
mustache.
if only my mustache would.
Yes,
I
have
listened
this
to
little-
it 3 times, so I know it pretty well.
So I think I saw that, and I saw someone else said something about how it should, or maybe it was the same person about how it should
think
have
it was
been
the
a
same person.
prologue. I totally agree. It did have that vibe. How it didn't obviously it doesn't flow with the rest of the story, but I really, really enjoyed it. And if all you have to do is mentally say, instead of chapter 1, this is the prologue, then I'm like, cool. It did have prologue vibes, but I still really liked getting almost this weird little prequel short story thing that lets you know what's happening.
Oh yeah, once
It's
you
less
figured
of a-
that out, and I was like,
Yeah. Well, because first chapter, you don't know it's a prologue. I personally got invested in Anya and Juice. I was
did too.
really excited, to see where this was going, and then it went terribly wrong.
I love it.
I would say that it's less of a prologue and more of a cold open. I think it's and we're reading the Expanse books, and every Expanse book does this. It starts with something that's
But it's a prologue. I think it says prologue on it.
well, then it's just
I
they're
was
just
going to
left
say,
out a word. Well,
hey, Mr. Film Brain, I'm pretty sure a cold open and a prologue have some overlapping.
I mean,
Cold open is just on TV.
But I actually really enjoyed the
Your
first
section.
chapter. And I've read books like that before that get you invested in the story right off and then have it end badly, but in a way that introduces you to what's going on. And it was nice. Sorry, it was nice going into everybody else's characters, kind of knowing in the background where this is leading. And I like knowing that up front.
Where is Anya? Where is Juiced? Also, I really want to know where is Ritvenko, because he to me was very intriguing, and then he has not been mentioned again.
He was the other Grisha.
Yeah, he
That,
was the one
closed the
that
door.
slammed the door with
Mm.
the windy stuff, which was super cool. Also,
Anya and Juiced are straight up dead.
Oh, yeah. Confirmed.
yeah, I know, but the way finding out, they were oh, she washed up, and walking into the creepy warehouse full of dying
It's so gross.
dying bodies.
Goopy.
And there's one that
potty
fell over on the
pants.
ground because they're all just waiting to die. And they're oh, another one bites the dust. And
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
was like, his mustache didn't come
I was
to
getting some like major Kilgrave vibes from that, from like Jessica
yeah.
Jones. Have y'all seen Jessica Jones?
Nope.
Oh, you should, but not with the
David
Pence.
Tennant is one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time,
He's
Oh,
terrifying.
he's in that.
and he's so bad.
He's really good. He's a great villain.
He is a great villain, but like his power is basically like the power of suggestion. Like he can tell you to do something and you will do it. Like if he tells you to wait, you will wait until you die. Like,
Wow.
so that's I was like, ooh, that's why it's so chilling to me to come back to that, where they went and sort of investigated that.
Yeah, and I love, like Kira said, I love the fact that they came back to it. They came back to the little house, and we got to see what was happening.
Because
That
she
was
did it
so
to him
fascinating.
too. You know, and that's what I think I started to really get invested at that point. I think what was that, chapter 3 or I think
It was when
might
he
have
got the
been.
mission.
it's the
basically.
cast. Yeah,
I think it
I
was
told
3.
Talia, I was like, look, once you get through chapter 3, I think it has its hooks in you. You just have to get through chapter 3.
Oh, I was hooked in chapter 1. Like, I was like, oh, Anya, and I like just pictured like her pupils dilating, and like you see like, oh no,
Pick up
this
the
is
knife.
very fun from the beginning. Also, just because I found it, and you mentioned it earlier, Kirch is heavily influenced by Amsterdam, but also a little Antwerp, along with Victorian
totally.
London,
Totally
Old
see
New York,
that.
and Las Vegas.
Yeah, Matt, I like the showdown a lot too, and that was really well written, and I think y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they don't talk, because someone mentioned it before about Kaz and how old he is. I don't think they mention it. They hint at like him as a kid and blah blah blah, but then it's like after the fact that they say he's 17, because totally I had the entire time I was like, this dude's in his like 40s, 50s. He's seen the streets. He's walking with his cane, and then they're like, and he's 17. And I was like, what? Because he handled that like a BA.
I think the age is going to be a huge discussion here in a minute.
Yeah, well, and just to give you
and-
an idea, I have 3.5 pages of notes, and one whole page, like right over one whole page, is about the age discussion. So that is people's biggest sticking point with this book, I think. And we've already seen it in the comments a good deal, I think.
We go get that engagement today.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mike. They did start dragging on the boat. But I mean, now that we're back on land, I feel like it's going to pick up, hopefully.
But doesn't that make sense, though? Because if you're trapped on a boat, what all can happen, man? Being on a boat's boring.
They
Like,
were on a boat for a long time. Like, they just used it as a way for us to get more backstory.
they had to go all the way up to
We didn't need to
Hooverville.
do that with them, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to get. It was like the talkie times before the action, where you get to learn a little bit about.
I've loved every moment of getting fed the backstory and like how it's being done. Of like it's happening in the moment, and be like, okay, but this is like why they're reacting in this way. It's because this happened way back then, and then here he's back in the story again. And I was like, yay! I like getting answers.
Yeah,
but it's deliberate, like withholding of answers. Like you get only part of a backstory, and then you get a little bit more from somebody else's perspective. And like,
but if you get it all at once, where's the intrigue? What makes you keep on reading?
It's like watching Arrow. Here's another old superhero show reference. But like, yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, for what we get of Kaz up until the stopping point, like, we're still not sure what exactly happened with Jordy, and they got just totally hosed.
Oh,
and
man, that was heartbreaking.
That was probably that and Matthias killing the wolves was probably like the most heartbreaking. Like Kaz's backstory, just that was sad.
Yeah,
it was very sad. And yeah, and when you find out like that the wolves are sacred to them, and Nina's reaction when she's like immediately she's like, "Don't let this happen." I was like, "You killed the dog."
No, I like structurally how she's laid it out, and I do like the chapters being on each character and their perspective. I think that's pretty cool.
At first, I was not happy about that, but then, like, as soon as I realized that we were kind of getting the main 6, I was like, oh, okay, this is
acceptable.
Cool. I can do this.
Well, and there are a lot of books, and someone brought it up in the group earlier. There are a lot of books where you're like, because there's certain narrators and characters that you don't care about and you don't like their side of the story. And I didn't experience this with any of these characters, but in the Wheel of Time, there's a bunch of sections where as soon as you see that little icon come up, you're like, I don't care what they're doing, and I'm going to be stuck there for 175 pages. Yeah, that was not an issue in this one. I felt like the pacing overall was pretty consistent and good for me personally.
My least favorite chapters were the Matthias chapters.
Yeah, he's my least favorite person.
I hate the way he sees the world and the Grisha, and I don't like the way he was raised, I guess. It was really frustrating to me, especially since he fell in love with her. Or maybe probably.
Yeah, they just need to bang it out because I'm tired of.
I feel like
I'm tired of them right now.
Yeah, this reminds me of this episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Do you know
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And she's like, y'all just need to bone.
Like
every 20
like
minutes.
seriously,
Like,
I'm just that's my only gripe right now too, is just them. Like, I love Inej, I love Kaz, Jesper's pretty cool, and we don't know enough about whatever the kid, the other Wylan. But yeah, the Matthias and they do say Matthias in the audiobook. Just FYI, I know someone mentioned that. And Nina thing is just like kind of wearing on me right now.
Yeah, I don't mind their relationship. I just don't like his perspective, really. And also Jesper, I really like Jesper, but the chapters where he's narrating, or from his perspective, it could be from anyone's perspective.
They feel
like
a little
very,
weird.
very little Jesper is inserted into the chapter. Because like everybody else, Inej and Kaz and Nina and even Matthias, it's clearly their chapters. And then Jesper, it's just a chapter.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think Jesper to me is there's a little bit of Jesper, but he's like the Jane from Firefly or the Amos from The Expanse. He's the gun guy.
Yeah.
And
like Matthias, I agree, not likable because of how he's raised, and his chapters are like the least deep. But I think it's because that's what his personality like. So we're not meant to like the way that he was raised, but he doesn't know better yet. He's still learning. It's like I have a friend who grew up Mormon, and then they didn't know anything outside of their own religion or how they felt until they went into the outside world and started interacting with other people who weren't. And so that's like a weird comparison, but that's honestly what it made me think of. And he's so flat because he has no like secrets. There's nothing buried. Everything that he has is surface value. He's like, this is what I feel. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Like he doesn't hide anything. So for me, the lack of depth is because he's not this complex person like everybody else who's like keeping secrets and like had all this childhood trauma or still living their childhood trauma. Like, whereas he's like, this is how things are. This is who I am. This is how you do it. That's how you do it. Like that. Sorry. Like that's to me why he reads flat, because he is.
Yeah, it's good justification. Doesn't make him any more interesting, but yes.
But I assume that there'll be some
I like the contrast.
Character development with him. I mean, he is conflicted because I feel like against his will, not against his will, but against his upbringing, he fell in love with Grisha and is wrestling with that, obviously, after she threw him in prison and then rescued him.
Bobby says it too, be like, yeah, so the torment he has to be feeling, yes, it's not that he can just like immediately be like, I'm in love with this woman and I'm going to love her and everything's going to be okay. He was raised to believe that everything about her is wrong. And also he was trained to like kill her. Like, I want to say something else right here. It says, yeah.
No spoilers past that point.
I don't remember.
Well,
then just stop.
There's torture and torment going on in
yeah.
little
We are getting
Nordic.
that. He feels like he's betraying everything that he stands for and everything that he is. And we definitely get that quite a bit in the first half of the book. And I do think we're going to see some redemption from him. And I'm excited for that. I get frustrated by his chapters right now, but it'll get better maybe.
So who's the most fun to read?
Inej, maybe?
Inej or
Kaz is pretty
Kaz.
interesting.
Kaz is pretty cool.
Who's y'all's most fun in the comments?
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
I love Inej and Nina. I love that they're so different. You get these two women dealt different hands, stuck in the same poo town, and like I love Inej. I like aspects of everybody. But yeah.
Yeah, and we got a lot of Inej. I think she's definitely a certified BA. Like she is just with with all of her name saints daggers all over her body, and but yeah, I think hands down for me it's Inej and Kaz. Kaz has that. I mean, he is ruthless, and like like Adam was saying, the scene where he's on the boat and like he's literally digging the guy's eyeball out and throws it in the water. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was driving when I listened to that part, and I had to switch to a CD until I got to work.
For those who don't know, Christy has a thing about.
Yeah, I don't like. Well, I can handle some violence, and I don't mind reading it, but like when I'm in the car, it's just not best.
Well, no, and I didn't expect all of a sudden he was like, he slashed his face. And I was like, oh, yeah, you show him his spots. And then he's like, and then he slashed it again into an X. And then he reached in. And I was like, I literally read it going,
yeah. But speaking about going back to Inej and Nina, I love their relationship. Like when
Matt is really good at Mario Kart 64 battle mode. It's ridiculous.
But when Nina is like when Inej wakes up after being stabbed and they start singing, and she makes her sing, and the jokes that they have, and like that like clearly create a relationship, because when they're marching in Frasier or whatever it's called, the place Fierda, like their relationship's just awesome.
Yeah, I think
their friendship so much.
Like I would say Inej is fun to listen to, to read. And here's the thing, like I love Kaz as a character, but I almost think it's more fun to hear what other people are trying to figure out about him than to be in his head. Good. Because like when we get a Kaz chapter, you know exactly what he's thinking, but it's more fun to be in like Nina's head or be in Inej's head or even Jesper's head when they're trying to like figure him out. And that seems to be when because he projects this image, and then you go into his head, and it's more interesting because like you can see his insecurities and you can see his like self-doubts and things like that, which is kind of a nice little depth to his character. But it's also just really fun to see him work and to see him work through other people's eyes.
I love his thinking face. Like you can almost picture it. Just like he just kind of looks off and all of a sudden gets a little glazed, and everyone's like, scheming face.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
great.
he's figured something out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They're cut from the same cloth.
That did, yeah. I got some of that vibes. Your dog is very thirsty.
Oh, sorry. He's a very loud drinker.
Y'all getting that?
Apparently they are.
If you can guess how many licks it takes to get to the center of that water bowl. He's gonna bring some of that water all the way back here too.
He does that.
He's a dribbler.
So let's go back to the age discussion, because we touched on it, but we did not. We did not do it.
Fill everybody in in case they weren't there.
Katie Dahl started the discussion off in the discussion topics post, and she asked, with all the life experience the characters have, how old do you think they should be? For example, is anyone else just pretending that they're 10 years older than described? Or I guess, how are you seeing them in your head? And I definitely am seeing them older.
I just think me now and where I was at 17, and granted, I didn't live growing up in the street.
It's a little bit of a different life.
But yeah, so I didn't have that. But it was also from 9 to 17. But for him to handle the situations that he did with the badassery and poise and sick Poise, but Poise and Grace, sick Grace, didn't, and that's why I was kind of shocked when they were like, "Oh, he's 17." I was like, "What?" Because it definitely felt like he should have been older, and I'm kind of, I know some other people, maybe it's Philip, saying it's like, okay, it's like a movie casting, right? They're 17, but then they cast the 25, 30-year-olds.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
These are Hollywood 17-year-olds.
Yeah, it's Hollywood
So they're
17.
30.
So they're
Well,
30.
Yeah, I play 17.
There are a lot of people in the group that this took them out of the book every time that the age was mentioned. Dan Lafferty is one of those people. He said
just
that,
stirred it and angry face.
yeah, if you can't tell how he feels. He said that was the one thing that kept me from being fully invested in the book. Let's see.
Do you think she did that as like a, ooh, well, if I do this, it's going to be more marketable, like to publishers? I don't know. I mean, seriously,
There was
asking
some
that from like a
speculation.
marketing kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and he said, I've heard different stories about why the characters are teenagers. One being that she wanted it to be about adults, but that the publisher wanted to market it to young adults. So they made her change their ages.
It's totally a marketing move.
But the way they talk and act, their histories and life experiences, the very fact that Kaz is this widely respected and feared gang leader in his teens. Nope, I kept trying to just picture them the age they should be, but the book kept feeling it had to remind me that they're teenagers, which took him out of the immersion every time. And the book does remind you of their ages pretty constantly. There's a bunch here more, but Talia, what? Sorry.
So no, I'm to give you another side. And I don't think I'm the only person who felt this way, because a couple other people said it. Normally, and I think I've made it clear with other books that we've read in the past, even like Red Rising, when stuff involves younger people, it bugs me a lot. Just because, like, especially as like a parent, I can't not picture my own kids in that situation, and it messes with my head a lot, and it makes me very uncomfortable, and I can't like separate it. This book actually, it doesn't bug me at all, and I never like changed it. I think if they have never mentioned their ages at all, if they had never said a single thing about their age, I probably would have just assumed that they were like my age. I probably would have assumed like some of the younger ones were like in their mid to upper 20s, and everybody else was kind of like in their 30s or whatever. The experienced ones might be closer to 40, but like whatever. But when she mentioned it, for me, all it did was remind me that this is a different world, a different time. And honestly, like, especially if this is kind of like old country type thinking, old London and all this stuff.
You're married at 14.
Very different then. And also the constant reminder of their ages, like that, like, they were kids, they were children when they were captured, kidnapped, sold, families murdered when they were like 9. All it did for me, it didn't take me out of the story, it solidified how dark and heavy this reality is for them. How this group, especially it's the dregs. So to me, I feel like maybe the other gangs are older. Maybe they are all in their like 30s, and the dregs are like these orphan kids that formed their own gang because they have legit been on their own, living these horrifically tragic stories since they were children. And if you have been living this life on your own since you're 9, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of life experience and know-how of taking care of yourself and others by the time you're 17.
Should we put our kids on the street?
No. Okay. And so like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So for me, like that, normally I would say, things with young people, like, no, like just be a happy kid and be safe and eat cotton candy. But for me, it's super solidified. That's what I want, Adam. I want people to be happy and eat cotton candy. But for me, it really solidified how dark and heavy the lives have been for these dregs. And I think the age is unique to them because it doesn't talk about the other people. And I think maybe that's why they're the dregs. Like, they're the kids that got sold into where they are.
My reaction was honestly that I didn't think about it. Like, I was told that these are how these kids are, and like I kind of try to give myself to the book a little bit. Like I'm, if you're creating this world, I'm just going to go with it. Like if you're creating this, if you're not telling me that this takes place in like, I'm supposed to think that it's now and in the world that I exist in. No, this is like a magic place with fictional places and different like circumstances. And I'm just gonna say like, all right, and until until my suspension of disbelief is forced to go away because you did some bad narrative development or whatever, then I'm just gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and go with it. So like I didn't have a problem with these being kids. This is just the world they grew up in, and and it's also a world where people have magic powers.
Yeah, so
That's true.
it's
That's a
not
good
the
point.
same as ours.
Adam, I had this vision of you accepting the book when you first and say, "I give myself to you."
I did that with
Like,
every book,
I
except
don't
for
know if you
Interview with
saw
the
this, but
Vampire.
you have a hole in your cover, and you're
Oh,
sorry.
why did you show her that? You showed it
Because
until
I would
after.
do the same thing with a video game cover. It's a little puncture.
Okay,
hair.
really
Sorry.
quick.
Anyway.
So Katie Ellen
I didn't do it.
posted some stuff to be devil's advocate. She says while I know that it's a fantasy book, historically a lot could happen to you by the time you were a late teen. Back in the day, upper class kids were married super young, and if you're on the streets, there was no social services to take care of you. You took care of yourself. Leanne,
Or you died. Sorry.
yeah, definitely. So Leanne also was playing devil's advocate. She was saying that the age experience thing didn't bother her for several reasons. The time period, it seemed like the fantasy equivalent of 1900 to me. So people married younger, had shorter lives, became adults earlier. Also, Life in the Barrel would be lifestyle alone. Life in the Barrel, the lifestyle would still be relatively short. I guess the lifespan. And there's also a war going on, a war that has started training children.
Yeah.
Children soldiers. This is a very different world. Also, not to be a total poop, but when we meet Van Eck, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, Bethany, wait, I want to talk to you in just a second because I read the other thing you said. When they meet Van Eck, they describe him, oh, he's so much older than him, but they only say it by oh. He has some light gray in his wings, I think, and then some crow's feet. And I wanted to be like, so do we, and we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bethany said, I don't by their ages, teens, blah, blah, blah. But because the teens, she doesn't buy it because they're beating out the more experienced adults who should have more knowledge and street smarts. Yes. So you're weighing out like who should be smarter and more experienced. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Normally, I'm totally on board with this because kids are dumb. But here's the thing. The world is, if I had to apply this to current modern day, I am still very young. I know this for truth. However, Adam, your face.
Look at this dabbed.
I'm hip.
No, you're really good point. Okay, but here's the thing. Technology and the world changes really, really fast. Things accelerate. They talk about how Kaz, changed so much in the harbor. He has altered things. So I feel like once you get to a certain point, your experience doesn't matter if you can't keep up with the way that things are progressing and the way that things are changing. And I feel like a very smart, young, competent person, but then I see stuff on the internet about how teenagers today are saving the planet, and I'm like, ooh, I'm old and dumb.
Or like that
already.
what's our poet laureate that
yes, who's this brilliant
oh my god
woman,
I was like, I'm stupid. I
just
stupid man.
She just turns 21, and I'm like, yeah. So to me, I can buy it because I know that I'm not old, and I'm already being outpaced. I'm being outpaced by the youth of today.
And I'd also like to point out that it's just Kaz. He's the one that's smart. He's the one with the plans. He's the one that's setting everything up, and he's the one that's outsmarting adults, but he's also outsmarting his peers. He is 5 steps ahead of everybody. So, and Kaz, we got enough of his backstory, I think, to justify this. He had that terrible thing happen to him and his brother, and it made him have to grow up so quickly. And he was motivated by hatred and revenge and just probably heartbreak. And we haven't gotten all of his backstory, but we've gotten enough to know that
he's seen some stuff.
He's come from something, and he's had to create who he is in order to like survive and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about information, baby.
Yeah, he's like, it's not about bribing. He's like, who was it? There's another story that's like that. And it's like, you don't, it's not about bribing people with money. You bribe people with knowledge.
Mhm.
Or like the reason someone was in power is because they knew everything.
Yep.
That's another thing that I read and I can't remember. If
Well, and Kaz has a Inej, and there's something supernatural about her. She can like,
Mhm.
there's something a little special, and I'd love to know if she has a little bit of Grisha in her, which
There's something a little special about Kaz and Inej. There's something a little special about everybody.
well,
Like, they got-
but it's everybody else is super talented, and Inej, she can like cloak herself. She doesn't have a scent.
She's
She
a
can be
stealth
quiet.
assassin.
Yeah, the Wraith. So
they're George Clooney, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Stop. I
Sorry.
don't
I
like
had-
it when you do that.
I had a really good joke, but the window for me to make that joke closed a long time
No,
ago.
Oh,
reopen
reopen it.
it.
Reopen
I
it.
love
You
I love
deserve
it.
it, Adam.
Talia was talking about something, and I was going to say the book 5 in this series, when they grow up, can be called 6 of Crow's Feet.
we shouldn't have let you go back.
That was
Yeah,
I know,
that
it's
was.
the window. If I had said it when I was
No,
sitting
it
at it,
still would've
y'all
been
would have been
bad.
laughing.
No, we wouldn't have.
You would have been rolling on the floor. It's like I would have had to been talking through your laughter.
So Mike had a good question if Inej's abilities were explained, and they did say that she was raised as an acrobat, right? As like a performer. So I'm assuming it has something to do with that, but I really want there to be something magic about it.
I want her special little climby shoes. I feel like
Yeah.
she'd just be better at walking in general.
She was basically like, I got some Nikes.
My people.
It-
My people.
Oh, Philip.
Don't encourage it.
Nice.
It's funny.
A pity laugh is still a laugh,
dear.
Kira.
It's true.
Thank you, Christy, for that laugh.
I gotta refill my.
Uh,
You're leaving
Thank
to go
you.
get a drink?
This is important.
Okay. We only have 15 more minutes.
I know.
Just be thirsty, man.
yeah,
So
Christy got more stuff here.
is
Thank you, Britt.
Kaz a good guy?
Mm.
He's chaotic neutral.
Are there good guys?
I think it depends on who you
honestly-
ask.
In this world, are these good people or bad people? Or are these people that are just trying to live and stay alive?
He's-
Although, to be fair, the X and the eyeball thing was a little, maybe
That's
not a
little on the
great
evil
thing to
side.
do. And then
Yeah.
just, tump them off the boat.
I mean, you have to examine
he
what
did
Kaz's
deserve it.
position is. You have to, whether he's good or bad, you have to, I guess, sort of examine what his motive is. I mean, obviously, motive 1, to get super rich.
Who's?
Kaz?
Oh no, brick by brick.
Yeah, but he's also trying to
that's
tear
motivation
down
1.
that guy. He's also trying to tear that guy down that killed Jordy or whatever. But he also wants to get super rich. Like what's
His
is it
name was
Pekka
like
Rollins or something like that?
No, that's
Per
exactly.
Haskell? Which one are you talking
Yeah,
about? Oh, Pekka Rollins is brick by
is
brick.
the one he's trying to
Yeah.
destroy. But is he trying to, does he have
Oh shoot.
what?
Okay, I'm gonna go way back to the age thing. We have a great example of like their upbringing and how that changes them, because we have the 5 that all are super skilled and amazing, right? But then we have Wylan, who was brought up. He had a very privileged upbringing, and he is only there basically as a hostage, kind of. Like he's not super skilled that way.
Yeah, he's like collateral.
He's
Yeah.
like the same age, but yes, you're like, because of his life upbringing, even though he had a ton of really great tutors, he can play the flute, but he can't pick a pocket.
Yeah.
He's just okay at demo.
He's just okay at it. Yeah.
Yep, everyone's chiming in. Chaotic neutral.
Sorry,
Boom.
Adam, I didn't mean to interrupt
That's
you.
okay. I forgot what I was talking about.
No, but that was a really good point, Christy. Yes. See, your upbringing changes your age and experience level.
Yes.
Yeah, and Spare said, I think Wylan will prove to be important. And I think so too. I think there's more to Wylan than we're seeing, actually. And
As
I'm
Talia
really,
takes a drink.
yeah, that was.
It's Star Trek Nemesis, right? It's Captain Picard.
I didn't
versus
chug
his
all my
clone.
juice.
But I'm really excited to see that. And the fact that we haven't gotten his perspective yet in the first half, and I think someone mentioned that we don't get it at all in the first book, that is suspicious to me. This is Six of Crows, and he's one of the crows, and he's the only one of the crows that we're not getting a perspective from. What's really going on with Wylan? He's far too innocent.
Wylan. He's really the main
Wylan.
character.
Yeah.
He's like Wesley Crusher.
Oh.
No, how dare you?
So Kira had a question. She
Wesley
said,
sucks.
if you're going to be a Grisha, which order and type would you be?
That's a good one. So
Yeah.
there's the Corporalis.
Corporal
else?
Nick, Ethereal Nick, and Material Nick. So the Fabricator is one of the Material Nicks, and I didn't see what the second one was. Tide Maker, and then Healer and Heartrender are the ones that were specifically mentioned in the first half of the book.
So you can control, you have power over people's bodies, right? Or physical
There's two.
things.
One you can heal, and the other one you can.
Right. So so I found that one interesting with the Grisha when they were going into it with Nina, how she was more of like the warrior Grisha, controlling it for like
she's the Heartrender.
Yeah, she's the herder. Yeah, the Heartrender.
And now when people annoy me, I just want to be like this,
I don't know what I would be.
and then they'll think I'm.
So there's basically like you can control things, right? Like creating things. You can control like
Tides
and air,
maker.
like the elements, and
There's
then
an air one. There's a water one.
and then bodies. I don't know. What would you?
Julie, that would make your job
Fire.
easier. Julie's a doctor.
That's right.
Oh,
I'd probably be a fabricator, honestly,
You like the stuff.
because I like making things.
that would be cool.
I don't know what I would be.
And we might have more insight to what the right answer is in the second half, just because we might get exposed to a little bit more. And I can't wait to see more of the scary abilities they get with the
Parajurum.
Parajurum or whatever.
But
Jorda Param.
Jorda
I don't feel
Paran.
like you're like 100%. I mean, your category is important to what you do, but like, so Nina is right. She's the heart render, so she was trained to be like, stop breathing, heart, go to sleep, like all that stuff. But through time and experience, and because Kaz has been like, do it, she's been able to learn new things like healing people, and like so she has been able to expand her abilities and help and kind of work with other things.
And they also said that in the training for each of the things, I think you get trained in both. Like I think you get trained in both sides of what your your area is, and then you focus on
you put more
one
experience points into one or the other.
Because she said she should have learned more about healing, but she, went off to war early.
I would do what Nina does to be able to help with emotions. I think that would be my.
But
although I would want
to. She could
And
be
that-
like,
I
she'd be
know.
like, be happy, but also if you're
Sleep.
snoring, I could be like, coma, and
Yeah, Liz has a really good point.
right? I mean, she's like, yes, heart rate, sleep,
Yeah.
Coma.
Coma. Yeah, Lucas, you're not waking up from that one. Don't you?
All right, I'll,
Yeah, but that's the
nice
thing.
guys.
And then I'll be
You'll
like,
be able to hear her.
I got 7.5 perfect hours of sleep, and then I could be like, wake up.
I don't snore.
So Liz asked, she doesn't understand why capturing this guy is going to get that awful drug off the streets. And a couple of people in the discussion topics post expressed the same thing. Amber said, I'm really curious about Yul Bayar and the merchant's reason for wanting to free him. They're telling Kaz that it's because the drug is too dangerous to be made, but I'm pretty sure the Ice Court is going to come to that same conclusion. And I think we can all agree on that. The other thing they told Kaz is someone else will break him out. But if it's that difficult, that most likely no one will succeed, then why wouldn't they just let the Ice Court do his thing and execute him? So she's suspecting that the merchants, who have already shown that they like the effects of Purim on their hired Grisha, have ulterior motives. And it's weird that Kaz isn't kind of thinking about that.
Or maybe he
Kaz
is. Maybe
blinded by the money. But I also
yeah.
feel like it has to be a power thing, right? Like, yes. Does it seem sketch? For sure. Oh, we just want to make sure that we're the ones that kidnapped them, not someone else. And that's
Yeah.
really what it sounds like to me. It's not a rescue mission. It's like whoever holds the dude has the powers.
It's the spice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yup.
Yeah, and Adrian Lamb said, "Are we supposed to believe that this guy is the only one that can make the Jirta per M? He has no assistants helping him. His keepers didn't watch his every move and demand detailed updates on his progress, and that no one else in the world or has been working on it anywhere else in the world and can get it."
Oh
There's
yeah,
some-
there's
some
everybody's up
holes.
to no good in this book.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just-
Well, and once they know that a thing is possible, you know people are going to keep trying until they do it, especially if it's going to make them money and give them power.
Money
Yeah.
and power.
The deal
Yeah,
is the deal.
these the Six of Crows are definitely caught in the middle of some sort of power play.
I thought you were gonna make a terrible
I
pun.
was waiting for the
I was like-
the crow. I was-
Murder plot.
But it's the same. It's like what Kaz says in the beginning. Like, what's the difference between what they do in the barrel versus what all the merchants do politically? It's all about profits. It's all about power. It's exactly the same. Their methods
Colonel
are just
Boyle.
slightly.
Nice.
Yeah, he's gonna play the next Colonel in the KFC commercials.
Oh, did you do that already?
This one?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry, it scrolls and I clicked the wrong one.
I mean, this is a really good point. Like, this makes a ton of sense. But if this drug did become easily accessible, like, it really would change the whole world and how everything works. And that's a really interesting concept to me. And I'm wondering if that is what we're going to get in the second book.
But it's also like the drug itself. When the Grisha use it, they dwindle pretty fast. Like they like become super addicted and then die because they
Yeah.
like can't handle it. Basically,
Well, and
Terrifying.
I feel like we've gotten the impression that they die because they didn't get us any more of it. Like, I wonder how long you can keep someone going on it.
they're the Jim Hadar.
But
Mhm.
the
I get
dude,
that reference.
I don't. But the dude who sneaks up on Kaz when
Burnham.
he's all like going through the wall and he gets him when Vanek gets Kaz for the first time. I don't remember what I'm talking about. They describe his appearance and it looks like he's getting plenty of drug, or he's using it because he's going on little missions for Vanek or whatever, and they say that he looks not great. Like big old circles, waxy skin, like sick and whoa.
Like Prince Philip.
How you look, I imagine, if you take a bunch of bad drugs.
But I mean, it hit Nina, not Nina, Anya like that. Like she it was like this kind of orgasmic thing that all of a sudden she was, in this state of euphoria. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, cut off your thumb.
Burns them out too fast.
Yeah.
It's unnatural. Why have the Fjordans not just killed him already?
Yeah, you would think they would just go ahead and do the trial and execute him, especially if like he's that much of a risk. And if he like strengthens the Grisha, I feel like he should be their top priority.
But I mean, that's what they think, right? Like Kaz says no because the Vanek said he's alive, but Matthias was like, he's like, I know my peeps. He did. Like, I mean,
He
so
should be.
we don't know. That's exactly what he said in the book.
That's a
I know my peeps. He did.
We did that. Lucas did the same.
I know.
It's good.
That's
We're
one of my
both-
favorite. That's one of my favorite gifts.
Mhm.
to post.
So Adrian Lamb asked, who really believes Per Haskell would be so hands-off? He's the overlord of the dregs, right? Or of the
Yeah.
barrel.
And the Kaz Kaz is like, I'm the real leader.
Yeah. So you don't get to be head of anything in a ruthless world without being a control freak, and control freaks don't retire.
Hmm.
So
We
Yeah,
haven't really seen much of him.
no, not
I
really.
just kind of discounted him, honestly. It's like I'll pay attention when it kind of matters.
Yeah. Well, and Leanne said she thinks Per Haskell has gotten complacent because Kaz is so effective. The drugs have made more money under Kaz's influence. And sure, he was in charge. He was like the head of it, but when he was the head of it, it wasn't doing very well, right? Because Kaz like just turned everything around.
Yeah, and I think he just kind of takes the credit for it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he technically gets some credit for having Kaz there, I guess.
It's not a bad situation.
Yeah.
Works out for old Per Haskell.
Yeah, he just gets to be an old dude contracting out all that work.
Great grandfather of Eddie Haskell.
Oh, Severus is good.
You got it, Lucas. You got it. Jack.
So why turn what is it, Yul Bayar or what? But yeah, Yul Bayar over when you can just make so much more off him. That I mean, I wouldn't put it past Kaz to just keep him and make the drug for himself and sell it.
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past Kaz.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't. We never know what he's thinking until after he's already executed the next step of his plan. Which to me reminds me a tiny bit of Red Rising about how, like, what's his face always was like, and here's the perfect thing that I knew because I planned for it and it's working out swimmingly. But for some reason, when Kaz does it, it doesn't bug me as much. And I don't know if it's because they keep getting into tighter spots and sometimes things are like really messy. But it doesn't seem as like perfect as when it happened in Red Rising.
But in Red Rising, he didn't have any background to be able to have any of that knowledge. And I think that's why it bugged me. And Kaz, like, I feel like he definitely could have all of that.
Oh, he's had to think on his feet for half his life.
Hey, fellow 38-year-old.
Oh, literally half his life. Yeah, if he's 17, half his life he's just been a little murderous street urchin.
Riffraff. Street raff.
Yes, this is just Aladdin.
It is Aladdin.
But, with eyeball pulling.
And that was delightful. It was delightful.
That's not the word I would use.
It was delightful.
I mean, I'm glad they went there. Like, I'm glad they went a little darker and violent, but it just, not while I'm driving.
It was the descriptor that to me was unnecessary. It's like he slashed an X and then he squirted his eyeball out. And I was like, whoa. But then he was shooting the little meaty dangly bit on the end. And I was like, no.
It was so
didn't need it.
Refreshing.
I assume that there are things that connect your eyeball. Yes, that there are things that connect your eyeball to your head. I don't need to hear like exactly what they look like when they come out. Like, poke it back in there, man. Ew.
Dude, that Arby's sauce makes you do weird things, man.
I'd also like to know if Jerdaprim really is lethal for people or for non-Grisha. Because the merchant that hired him said that it was, but it'd be kind of neat to see if it's not.
Kira, that made me sad too. You're such a good man. I hate it.
Yeah, it was this very sad section.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about young adult really quick. What is young adult? Because
I don't know, and I think Red Rising is way more harsh than this. Red Rising has way more just kind of gruesome scenes compared to Six of Crows.
Oh, it's Red Rising. No.
Oh, goodness, you cannot.
I would not recommend anybody watch this.
I don't watch scary movies. Period. Is Red Rising young adult?
I don't know.
Yeah,
if it is, it
is.
But I think there's like, young adult has like a connotation that I don't think is entirely fair. Like you think young adult and you're like almost in the kids section, but it's like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like young adult is just like it has young people as the stars of the book. But it's still like a really complex story with deep characters and I can do.
So this is interesting because so like when I started reading this book and I was like, ooh, this is good. I can let our daughter read this. And then I kept reading and I was like, I don't want her to read it.
Yeah, Lisa, I agree. If this is young adult,
was totally
too.
Yeah.
And I think that it is actually
I think
in the young adult
read it in
section.
school, I think.
Yeah.
Young adult, it's like some people pass on this book because it's young adult, but like I think that's that's an unfair
Assumption.
characterization
Oh,
of this.
Mike said he got it from the library and it had the teen label on it.
See, like, I don't care as long as it's a good story. Like, to
Yeah.
me, I don't care. And I'm kind of with Dan. It's like, it's a marketing spin more than anything.
Yeah, because if you had not told me that and you were like, hey, go read this book, I never would have read this book and be like, this is supposed to be marketed to teenagers.
Yeah.
I would not have made that because, like I just said, I don't want my 14-year-old to read this. I know that she can handle it because we watched all of Gilmore Girls recently. And as you know, that has a ton of graphic violence. But, like, I don't, like, but I don't, for me as a mom, I want to wait until she's like 16. And then, funny. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be like, this is for teenagers.
Oh, do this.
No.
Yeah, like I don't know, like
Well, yeah, someone posted someone posted in the group that almost all of the main characters, like Jon Snow and Arya and Sansa and Daenerys, they're all teenagers. There's like no one over like 18. Like all the Snows are young.
And also, if you want to be super technical, a young adult is like 18.
me.
No, a young adult means you are like 18 or 19 or your early 20s. You're still a young adult. I would not call a teenager is a teenager. A young adult is 20.
Yeah, I feel like Dan, like there's definitely some truth to what Dan was saying about like young adult didn't exist when we were younger. Harry Potter, like it seems like it's like a category that you can put things in that you can turn into movies or TV shows and get the certain demographic to like buy into. It's all just a marketing thing. It's just good stories.
It's just a good story. That's honestly how I see it. Like,
Now apparently there's this new adult category also that is
what?
Yeah, that's still a
Same
new
thing.
thing, I think.
F that, man.
Young
That's
and
stupid.
new.
Like, come on. That's just so stupid. Come on, marketing team. Y'all can do
Marketing
better
Funny
than that.
because
people.
he works in marketing, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
Lucas,
just so
this is your
stupid.
fault.
Yeah, this is your
They're just trying to sell books, man. That's all I can say.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm glad we read this book, and like, people say it's young adult, and you can't help but to think like, oh, I'm too sophisticated if I'm older than. But I think it's good. Like, there's some people in the comments that are saying like, yes, young adult is.
Well, there's a lot of people who only read young adult, or that's their main genre.
So I just saw Bobby said too. There was a straight up teen section when I was growing. That's true. I remember going to the library, but for me, when I was getting stuff out of the teen section, which
It's
I
like
was
Sweet Valley High.
when I was little, yeah, I was reading. I was reading Babysitter Club, but it was also right next to Sweet Valley High. It was very much like ooh, romance, teenage romance.
Yeah.
But like to me, yeah, that was teen section. And the most dangerous thing that happened is, oh, Jessica got caught in a wave and then a surfer saved her. Like,
Yeah.
I had a nickel for every time.
Well,
I would say adult book without sex scenes. Like, there, whatever. What is that category?
well, and someone said
Wait,
that it's
spoiler alert, we're not going to get a sex scene?
Oh my God, not in the first half, Adam.
Julie, that sounds really old. Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys were young adults when I was a kid.
Yeah, we're old, Lucas.
We are old. I'm sorry.
You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest here. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we're past the hour mark, but this
We
has
did
been an
it.
awesome discussion. If this is good up until the first half of the book, then I can't even imagine what the second half of the book is going to be like. So you're going to want to tune in for that discussion, which is on March
31st. I think it's the last day of the month.
you
Wait,
can't start that if you don't.
you're wrong.
Because April 1st is a Thursday, April 2nd
It
is a
is.
Friday. Yep.
31st.
March
The
31st,
last day of March.
barring any severe weather.
So the very next day, you start reading this one.
Red Sister.
Yeah.
But
It's not an April Fool's joke.
It's not some nuns.
Yeah,
Super fun
murder nuns.
And that's about nerds. Hey,
Nerds.
that's our t-shirt for next month. NURNs, nerds.
I'm
Murder nerds. Sorry.
So I'm really enjoying this book. I can't wait to read the next half of the book, like Talia's already done.
Yeah. Are you even going to remember anything?
No, but I am going to read the second book. I already bought it. It's like over there.
Well, now you have to buy another first book because you're cover.
Why? If you had not told me.
You would have wanted me to. We'll give that one to my mom. It's okay. I give her all the ones that I don't want to keep. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I hope that now that they're off the boat or getting off the boat, that it just picks up and flies through the end. But yeah, I'm down for it.
Can I get hard?
Sure.
It's going to be awesome. So, hey, we'll see you on March 31st. Do we have any other things we need to...
I'm going to plug Take a Shot Stories super fast. So if
You're not plugging it. You're giving an update.
I'm giving an update, but it's awesome. So Take a Shot Stories, if you're joining us, we have been crowdsourcing a Choose Your Own Adventure book, and it has been the highlight of my week. Like, seriously, people write, we've got a formula down.
True. He's been so excited that when it came time to read this one,
I didn't care. I didn't care. I'm not joking. I didn't care because what we're doing as a group is so much more fun to me. I'm not trying to poo-poo what we're doing every month here, but I'm having so much fun reading the creativity that we have in this group, and it's so much fun. Anyway, what we're gonna do next? We're almost halfway through, guys. It's crazy. But I'm going to put out a survey to get people to submit art because I think in the Facebook group. So be on the lookout if you're an artist, or even if you kind of suck, that's okay. If you want to be involved and you're not writing,
honestly, it'd be funnier.
It'd be it's okay. Like, this is totally, from editing to writing to art, everything is going to be within this group, and I think that is so amazing to come together in this still kind of crazy time in our lives.
It's like a potluck.
And we're stirring it all together. So I'm gonna. It's good.
A potluck.
It's a potluck. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna make a Google form if you want to submit some artwork for Take a Shot. The people are, you're seeing it in the comments. It is so much fun, and we're halfway through. If we keep on track, we should be done by the end of April in draft form. It's crazy.
Awesome.
That's all I'm gonna say. Crazy.
Right.
Super exciting.
31st. No mourners.
What?
Get it? No, they're saying no funerals in the.
You're supposed to say the next part, you turd.
No funerals, no mourners.
Thank you. No mourners, no funerals.
I'm so lost.
It's from the book.
It's in the book.
It's how they say good luck.
Oh. I missed it too. That must be an audiobook thing.
No, it's on their tattoo.
Huh.
There it is.
Yeah,
This is their tattoo, and it says no mourners, no funerals. And it's because they're orphans. All right.
Yeah.
Love you
how
guys.
they say don't die.
Yeah, basically. Don't die, man. All right. See you March 31st.
See you on March 31st. Bye, everybody.
Bye.